Hey, what am I saying?
Welcome to Tailormade Talks.
Oh. Hey guys, welcome to Tailormade Talks. This is our new series to help our audience get to know our team, our members and our suppliers a little bit better and to get an insight into what it's like to work at Tailormade. Today I have with me Dylan Fionn. He's the head coach here in this lovely facility in Cashel. He's been with us for over 3 years. Dylan, you're very welcome.
Thank you.
So we'll start with you. How did you come to work at Tailormade?
I suppose I first heard about you, my partner was a member here at first. I got a couple of messages on Facebook off Gavin around coming in for a free trial session and asking if I was a personal trainer and stuff. I ignored him the first couple of times and then he steady tested me, so I kind of had to.
That would be typical Gav.
It would indeed. After that, I suppose I was working in a gym in Thurles as like a one-to-one personal trainer, just doing fitness classes and stuff, and I just found the hours were not what I wanted from my career and completely unsociable, being in there 6:30, doing PT up until about 11, trying to get a session in myself, food, go home for a couple of hours, back in at 5 until 10 to work, home, back in then the next morning, PTs again. You know, like it just wasn't really what I wanted. On top of that, like, I was there for 3 years, literally started on 10 hours, I finished on 10 hours, same money, not much increases there, which obviously was, I wouldn't say a driving factor, but obviously it would have helped. But like the only money I was getting was from my PT blocks, which might have came every 6 to 12 weeks.
And I think like we've changed massively as a business in the last 3 years, and we'll touch on that in a second. But back then, if you can remember 3 years ago, what was the kind of catalyst that made you want to join Tailormade? Because obviously you were working, you know, in a place for 3 years. You were getting a couple of hours a week doing PTs, so it was still a change to come work with us. And I know, like, now we're not the same as we were then. So what was like the thing that was like, geez, I'm intrigued now. I would like to join the lads and go from there. Just if you can remember back then. Yeah,
I suppose just I was kind of intrigued about the group training and I didn't really know what way it worked. I seen an ad on LinkedIn for a job in Cashel and I said, yeah, sure, fuck it, like,
give it a go.
I'll go for the job. If I don't get the job, it's experience either way, like, you know.
Yeah.
So I did, got the job obviously enough. I actually got the job down in Carrick-on-Shore instead of Cashel, but it was more, I seen it and I went for it. They just said a change. That's another story, but more so got to do with, like, I had my coaching done within my rostered hours rather than having to come back in to do PTs.
So it was all boxed off.
It was all boxed off. I had the rest of the day to myself without having to worry about coming into work.
Yeah.
Not that I wasn't worrying about work or thinking about work or anything like that, but it was like having to actually go home, leave again, back into work, back home, long hours.
And I think that's the fitness industry template, isn't it? It's like
100%.
I think we're one of the only few employers that salary coaches and actually have people on shift, so you're not working all hours. But we'll touch on us as an employer in a bit more, but what I want to do off the back of this is really get to know you, right, and let the audience get to know you. So I'm going to touch on some of your personal background. So who was young Dylan growing up? First of all, like, where did you grow up? Like, what school did you go to? Just give us an idea of your, I suppose, transition there through school and all the rest of it.
Right. So I suppose I grew up in a small village in Littleton, just outside Thurles.
To my boroughs.
Just down the road.
Oh, Littleton. Sorry. Yeah.
So yeah, growing up, I was like any kid really, wasn't I?
Old pup.
Old pup. Actually, I was a grand old chap, really, like, misunderstood. No, I went to primary school in Littleton, obviously enough, secondary school in Thurles in what is now Cashel. It was Gormskull Borough when I started, but it's the Tech in Thurles, which is what I'll always know it as anyway.
Yeah.
Went there for 6 years.
Did you start playing sport? Because I know you played rugby. Did you play GAA as well? Just did you go straight to rugby? Give us an idea of the sporting background.
No, I've always played sports. I didn't start playing rugby until I was 15 or 16.
Right.
I played soccer, hurling, football all the way up until I was about 15 or 16 and realised then I wanted to go play rugby a bit more.
Okay, good.
I like running at lads.
Lovely.
So,
good game.
Yeah, I've always played hurling. Played with McCarthy Boris and then
transitioned to rugby. So you kind of packed in the soccer and the GAA around 15, 16?
Just the GAA. I would have packed in the soccer a lot earlier. I just kind of lost interest in it.
Grand. And you would have played for Thurles RFC?
Thurles RFC, yeah.
For rugby?
Yeah.
Perfect. So you played rugby, obviously, Thurles RFC through school, and then you continued to play with Thurles rugby after school as well?
Yeah, right up into like third year in college. The only reason I left playing rugby was time.
Yeah.
The only reason.
The part I'm getting at here is, when did fitness come into it? So obviously, like, you went and studied and got a degree in it. I just wanted to like figure out, because there's some like young potential new PTs that follow us and watch us, and I think, you know, how you transition into the industry would be good. So you're obviously going through school. Like, did you know what you wanted to do going through secondary school? Did you have no idea? Give us an idea there going through secondary school.
I suppose like most young fellas, I started going to the gym 15, 16 as well. When I started playing rugby, I just kind of realised something has to change here.
Yeah.
You know, it's a physical sport, so something had to give. It's not like just going out playing hurling and doing your fitness and on the field or whatever. But I started getting into the gym around 15, 16 and done so for a good few years, like, to be fair, and took a bit of a break then in between leaving cert and stuff like that. It just wasn't really working out time-wise and just getting there and stuff. But I always loved it. I always loved going to the gym. It was like solid routine. I was there 6 days a week, fucking 11 o'clock in the morning when I was on summer holidays. Every single morning I was in there at 11 and didn't come out till 12:30, 1 o'clock. Like.
Unreal.
Yeah.
And then, so at that stage, were you thinking about doing it as a career? I presume at that time it was just a hobby, you enjoyed it. Where did it come into play where I'm actually going to study this?
I suppose...
Did you go straight into the degree after leaving cert?
No.
Did you take a year out?
I took a year out and I done a PLC course, but
Okay.
the PLC course was in sports and rec. So
Okay.
It was just something to, I suppose, pass the time. I had an interest in coaching, but like I wasn't really sure if I wanted to do it as a career. It was kind of a bit between that and like construction engineering kind of a thing in college.
You could have been on a building site.
Could have been on a building
And
site.
now you're in a lovely dry gym like this.
Lovely dry gym. Thank
Like
God.
ball.
No wet pain here. Realistically, I didn't really know what I wanted to do.
I think most people are like that.
Yeah.
You kind of just fall your way forward, don't you?
17, 18, I think it's hard to know what you want to do for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
Especially coming through school. There's a lot of things that go on in school that you don't need for the rest of your life. There's a lot of things that maybe you should be focused on a little bit more. I don't know. I'm not going to solve the world's problems, but like coming out of school, I had no idea. I was like, look, I'll go in and do a PLC course before I go to college. I'll apply for some courses next year. I had no interest in going to college. My initial plan was actually to pack up and go to Australia, work on the building sites.
Okay.
To be honest.
Yeah.
I had no interest in going to college until I was playing rugby with a lad and he was actually doing an S&C degree, and was chatting to him one day and just kind of was like, geez, you know what, that actually sounds cool. Because I was into fitness anyway.
Yeah.
Like, I was always in the gym. I learned a lot of shit on YouTube through different channels, stuff like that. I spent hours a day on YouTube. Just if I wasn't in the gym when I was 15, 16, I was on YouTube watching.
I did the exact same thing.
Watching lads working out, like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah. No homo.
No. Like watching lads like talking about it, just, you know, it just interested me. And I suppose then when I went to college, I got into it a bit more.
Good.
And ended up starting coaching and stuff like that.
And where did you study? Get your degree?
I studied in LIT in Thurles, but it's now TUS, obviously enough, in Thurles as well. But
And you got your degree in strength and conditioning?
Got my degree in strength and conditioning, yeah.
So that's kind of just gives a background of like how you grew up, sporting background, into secondary school. You did your PLC course and then kind of stumbled your way into a degree, but completed it, thankfully enough. You're now 27? 27. You have a little son?
I do.
Tig. So I'm going to touch on a little bit of family life.
Cool.
So obviously you're head coach here in Cashel, busy running the gym, but there's a personal side to you as well. Give us an idea of what it's like being a dad, or just anything there.
It's great, really, isn't it?
Don't cry now.
I won't cry. Yeah, I suppose home life is fucking, it's great with him, you know. Every day is something different and every day is a challenge.
What age is Tig now?
He is 21 months.
Class.
So yeah, he'll be 2 in November. Sure, like it's great crack, really.
Yeah.
He's at a good age where like everything is funny to him, and just he loves running around the place, climbing and everything else, and all he wants to do is run around all day, and it's class. It's fantastic.
Have you found that your outlook on life, or like how you look at things since you became a dad, has changed, or not really?
Yes and no.
Okay.
For me, yes, because like for my life, yes, because I want to set an example for him.
Class.
So like realistically, I don't really go out drinking anymore. I don't, you know, none of that kind of stuff. And not that it's bad or anything, but it's just not what I want to do and not the example I want to set. Your priorities have changed. Priorities have definitely changed.
Yeah, I found the same.
Yeah.
It's just like, that's not fun anymore, because I'd rather not be hungover on a Sunday morning and play with the boys.
Yeah. It just comes down to like not getting grumpy with him because I'm hungover and it's not his fault, but I'm still getting grumpy with him. So
Class.
Yeah. Priorities have definitely changed in terms of that. And just trying to spend more time with the family, especially even outside of work here. It's just like go home to him, go home to Sheila, and just spend time together. And just quality time as much as possible.
Brilliant. We'll touch on that a bit more, but that I think that gives a good idea of a background as to you, and people get to know you a little bit better. I'm going to move on to your role here now within Tailormade. So obviously you're the head coach in this facility, Cashel. You joined us over 3 years ago. I think it was June 2021. We're now in September 2024. You've been around a couple of different gyms. I think you started here in Cashel on a part-time basis, or Carrick?
Starting Carrick.
So just give a quick synopsis of your progression to date over the last couple of years with us.
Great. So, yeah, when I started down in Carrick and Shore, part-time. Worked there for 4 months, I think. Yeah, June to October, sorry.
And that's a fair drive, Thurles to Carrick.
Yeah, I was working part-time in another gym at the same time. So, days were long, hours were long. But sure, look, we are where we are now.
Yeah. You kind of trusted us, I think, that we'd get you back closer to home in time.
Yeah, look, I mean, I think it was always kind of said from day one. I remember getting a phone call from you to say, look, I obviously interviewed for Cashel because Carrick and Shore was like, what the fuck, why would I take a job in Carrick and Shore? Like, but
nothing against Carrick and Shore.
Not against Carrick and Shore.
It's just the distance.
It's just an hour away. But like, I remember getting a phone call from you, like, look, we don't have a job in Cashel, like, you know, we need a bit more availability. I was like, yeah, cool, whatever, like, that's fine. But we have a role in Carrick and Shore if you'd fulfill it. And I was like, I don't know, I was on the fence about it, and I was just like, fuck it, let's just get my foot in the door. And I went for it, and look, 4 months later, it was always said from the start, like, as soon as something comes up closer, you'll be moved straight away. So I was like, I was holding on to that, and in fairness, I was straight away. 4 months later, that job came up in Cashel, and I've been here since, full time.
Perfect. And then you obviously started as a coach. Who was the manager of the Cashel gym? Was it me or Gav? And how did you progress into the head coach role?
It was Gav at the time, and then I suppose I came on as coach 3.
Yes.
Would have been. So I came on there, and then obviously a few people left, and we, with a bit of shuffling around, I was coach 2. I was coach 2 for about 2 years, and then I suppose when you made the decision to, number 1, open Federate, and number 2, start bringing in head coach roles or manager roles again, because I know there was kind of there was a period there where we didn't really have those. You know, obviously Yi approached me. I was only after having Tig as well at the time. Yi approached me, offered me, whatever, Owen was moving over to Federate. So Yi approached me, and I took the head coach role to see how it would go.
Perfect. And you're obviously in that role now.
Yeah.
Things are going well. What I'm going to touch on here is and you can be totally honest and transparent, I want to know some of the, maybe even if you can pick 2 to 3 highlighted positive moments over the last couple of years of working with us specifically, that kind of you look back on and be like, that was maybe a big positive or whatever. And then we'll get some negative ones as well, because I think it's worth not like fluffing things up and just saying it how it is, and I think our audience would appreciate the reality of the situation.
Yep.
2 to 3 positive moments over the last 3 years working with us, just from your own perspective.
Yeah, fuck. Put me on the spot. I suppose probably one of the first ones would have been when I was working down in Carrick, and we had like this leaderboard. It was really competitive. Had this leaderboard for all sorts of shit, but like at the end of it, we were like, right, if we hit these numbers, Fionn and Gavin are going to bring us to dinner, and there's a 50 euro prize. I remember that. Yeah, 50 euro prize. And I suppose I was kind of like, what? The bosses are actually going to bring us to dinner, like, what the fuck? And to be fair, you did, like, you all came down, yourself, Gavin, Paul, it came down, brought 4 of us out to dinner, and it was fucking was a great crack, like.
Class.
That would definitely be one of them.
Sometimes, see, I forget some of these things, so I'm delighted I'm asking you this.
That would be a massive standout one for me. Anyway.
Is there another one? Another one or two?
Yeah, I suppose just I really like, just even recently would be like the weekend away up in Dublin. Class, like.
In March, wasn't it?
In March, with the PSCA event. Again, I just think it's great for me, and even just the fitness industry in general. Like, you don't generally have jobs where, I suppose, you get brought away for a weekend at work, and people investing in you to get you better. And like, I suppose that weekend away was cool. It was great. And then I suppose another highlight would be hearing that we're going over to England
in November.
In November, yeah. And again, just going out of the country for work, like it's cool. Like, it's cool.
Brilliant. And like, as we get bigger, our intention is to do more of that.
Yep.
Brilliant. I'm gonna press you for 2 to 3 negatives since you've been working with us. Don't hold back. Say it as it is, because we have nothing to hide. We're not perfect. We do try and learn from our mistakes and get better over time, which I think you can vouch that we do.
Yep.
So 2 to 3 kind of standout negative or not so good experiences.
It's not that it's hard to think of them, but like the negative experiences were never related to Tailormade in general. Like, some of them would have been like issues with managers, but like it was sorted once it was brought up.
Okay, cool. So like conflict?
A little bit of conflict,
cool.
I suppose, which happens in every job.
Yeah.
But like once it was brought up, it's sorted, and that's it. Like.
And was that like a personal conflict between maybe you and another person within our business?
Yeah, I suppose it was just clash of heads, really. Like, wasn't it? Isn't it? Like, difference of opinion, or whatever.
How do you find? Because I think all businesses will have some form of like workforce that have that. We obviously had that rectified now. How did we go about rectifying that? Just so like maybe people might learn from it, I think.
Honestly, I think I just had a chat with Gavin, and it was like
It wasn't Gavin, by the way.
No, I wasn't with Gavin. No. It wasn't Fionn either. So I think I just rang Gavin after it, and I was like, look, I'm frustrated. This is what's after happening. I don't really understand why this happened. What's the story like?
Yeah.
And I obviously met Gavin after that. Then we sat down, just had a chat. I actually met Gavin and you in a performance review, had a chat after it. I think it was my first performance review, and we had a chat. And it was kind of just sorted after that. He went away from that, and he just kind of figured that out.
I think the biggest learning there is like, if there's an issue, and like Tasha's behind the camera, and like I think Tasha can attest to it, like if there's anything that's griping you, especially within our organization, just bring it and say it. Because it always just clears the air. Like, no matter how big or small, the worst thing you can do is let it fester.
Yeah.
I'm going to press you for another negative.
Yeah, I suppose.
I would see that as a negative, but probably
as well.
A positive.
Yeah, 100%.
But yeah, go on.
I suppose, like, same thing again, I suppose. Well, not the same thing again, but just, you do put a lot of pressure on us, which is fair. You need to go places, and we need to get you there. But like, the pressure is never overly overwhelming until it finally gets overwhelming. But when it's overwhelming, it's easy to turn around to you and be like, relax.
Yeah.
Not in so much of a sense, but like, it's easy to have that conversation and be like, look, I can't deal with this right now. I need to tone it back a small bit, and it's sorted again. Yeah. So again, a negative, but a positive, but like, again.
Yeah. And you know, just one thing I want to say about Dylan as well is, like, there was a period earlier this year where we applied significant pressure because of the performance of this facility. And you could have been like, fuck this. Yeah. But you didn't. You actually put your shoulder to the wheel, and this place is a success right now off the back of that. So that's like something that I really admire about you from a character trait, is that you didn't wince when there was pressure applied. And we often talk about internally, like, applying adequate challenge to clients and like pushing people a little bit outside their comfort zone. So I think what you said there is, we do push, but I think it's important to know when you've nearly pushed too far. So yeah, I think that's valid. Just before we move on from this section, can you give me your favorite aspect of this job?
Every day is different.
Cool. Least favorite?
Working evenings.
Fair enough. Especially when you have young kids. I get it. But to be fair, I think you do 2 evenings?
I do 2 evenings a week. It's great.
3 mornings.
Yeah.
Could you describe the company culture?
Culture's great. It's competitive in every aspect, really. Yeah, it's very competitive, and I suppose everyone gets on with everyone. And even if there is a bit of headbutting, it's sorted.
Yeah.
It's cool. Done and over with, and that's it.
We don't allow things to get toxic, I would say.
No, definitely not.
We are competitive. We do drive performance.
100%.
We do have high standards.
Yeah.
But we try to be transparent and
yeah, no, definitely. I don't think there's any there's no toxicity there or whatever you want to call it. But yeah, there is definitely a lot of drive there. But it's good to work with driven people.
Cool. Cool. We'll move on to the next section. I want to start talking about clients and some success stories. Mm-hmm. Can you share a memorable client success story that you've been part of? And if there's 1 or 2, feel free to share.
There's been a few. I got sat down with a member the other day, and he was like, I just want to thank you for everything you've done for me over the last 2 years. You have changed my life. And I was like, fuck.
Class.
Yeah.
It's the name of the game, isn't it?
Name of the game. Absolutely.
Unreal.
Yeah, he sat down right beside me the other day, and he said that, and I was like,
You don't have to mention his name if he doesn't want to, but just give us a background story. Where was he when he came to us? How long he's been with us, and what kind of results did he get?
Jesus. So I suppose 2 years ago he joined up. Nearly 2 years ago he joined up, and I suppose he kind of went from being somebody who was never into fitness, and would have never known how to start fitness, and he just kind of went from there to being an absolute powerhouse.
Class.
He's probably one of the strongest members here at the minute. People that know him, and members that know him, come in and they're like, seen him today there, and he looks unreal. He looks brilliant, and
he's really just got on board with everything.
Yeah, 100%.
Made it part of his lifestyle.
He's after shaping up so much, putting on so much muscle. He's a different human to when he walked in here 2 years ago.
Mindset and physically.
Mindset, physically, everything. It's just, it was great to see.
Class. Yeah, unreal. Can I press you for one more?
Yeah, cool.
If you think the member wouldn't mind the name, mention it. If not, don't.
Cool.
Because we can crop this anyway.
Yeah. I suppose a standout one was just yesterday. I had a 10 o'clock session yesterday morning for deadlifts, and it was fucking insane. Cashel was actually recording the session. It was fucking class. One of the girls in the session, she's been a member here since well before I was here. I'd say she's here 5 or 6 years, and she was, for the first time, she deadlifted 70 kilos, and she was so happy. And as soon as she put the bar down, all of her peers in that session were over high-fiving her, they were fist bumping, they were fucking well done, that was class, well done.
Class.
And then it actually drove every single one of them to let go and lift heavier in their next set. It was fucking brilliant.
Environment is everything, isn't it?
Environment is everything. Yeah, absolutely. It was unbelievable. And she only started listening to me. I go on a lot about people putting on more weight onto a bar, or lifting more weights, or lifting heavier dumbbells, and people think I'm fucking cracked sometimes. And she started listening to me 4 months ago, and now she's actually getting her heaviest lift ever, and she's probably going to go more next week or even the week after on test week.
Unreal.
And I told her today I'll see her lifting 100 kilos at some stage this year.
Class. And just that, because we spoke about pressure a while ago, and I think it's important for me and Gavin as business owners to apply adequate challenge to the staff, to nearly push you to do more than you think you can at the moment. And in turn, I think it's important for the coaches to not let people sit in their comfort zone, because that's where growth is. So I think what you did with her is you put the arm around her, gave her a bit of belief, confidence, but gave her that push she needed to step out, and now she's soaring.
Yeah.
So I think sometimes it can be uncomfortable when a coach or your manager is pushing you, but if you step into it, that's where the magic is. So well done. Right, I'll move on from that. They're brilliant stories, and that's why we do what we do. And I think that's probably something, and Tasha's behind the camera, that we probably need to capture more of, is the actual real raw stuff and the results that we get people, because fitness, strength training, improving your body composition, like the impact it has is unbelievable. So that's why we're doing these chats, to pull that out to people.
Yep.
So we've 18 staff within Tailormade, and I think everybody within Tailormade, we're all in the fitness industry, and everybody has a specific area within fitness that they kind of gravitate towards. So like Gavin is powerlifting, Dylan Mack is currently dieting and looking to step on stage as a bodybuilder, and like we've loads of other key members. So over to you, how would you describe your training and coaching philosophy, or even if you want to get into your specific areas of interest within the fitness space?
Yeah.
Obviously rugby background.
Yeah, I suppose all along, for years, it was always stronger, fitter for rugby. And I suppose I retired 3 or 4 years ago, so I can have to leave that life behind me at this stage. So yeah, I suppose I'm in a bit of a transition period of where I want to go or what I want to do in terms of that. But I think just general fitness for myself right now is what I'm trying to focus on. Just getting stronger, getting fitter, doing things maybe I haven't done before, or doing things that I know are going to challenge me a small bit. Like obviously earlier in the year, I had a pretty bad back injury for the bulk of 4 months.
Sciatica, bad
sciatica, yeah, really
from
bad
a herniated disc?
Yeah, trapped nerve from a herniated disc, two herniated discs in my lower back. Just got a flare up of it. It was chronic, couldn't walk for like a week. Ended up down in hospital. Pretty heavy pain meds just to get me through the day. Like it was bad, and it's the worst I've ever got it. And I definitely don't want to go back there again. I suppose right now it's number 1 pain management, and number 2 general just lifestyle, and just try and keep tipping away, get stronger, make this better, make sure I stay pain free, and just get back to where I was fitness wise probably a year and a half ago, 2 years ago.
Yeah, I think that's a good point, because I think as we go through life, we have like these identities, and I've had this myself. I was like, you were the rugby player, and now you need to like leave that person behind and become somebody new. And I think change is painful for people, but I think people who hang on to past identities when life is bringing you in a certain direction, it's not good. So I think the fact that you just identified that you need to leave it behind. I'm the same.
Yep.
Background in hurling. 34, nearly 35 now, and now I need to become somebody different when you know the time comes. So I think that's a good point. We'll move on to the next section that I want to chat about, which is the team and the workplace dynamic in here. How would you describe the support and development opportunities within Tailormade? And just be like your brutal, honest opinion.
I have no complaints about it. Like, I mean, as I said earlier, I started a job 6 years ago in a gym as an intern, probably 7 years ago as an intern in a gym. And I got hired, and for 3 years I was on 10 hours a week, a couple of PTs, same money for 3 years. Came over to a job in Tailormade, part-time. From there I went full-time, trusted a little bit more with the business. Now I'm managing a gym. And I'm sure that's going to go up and up and up. I mean, there's a lot of growth, and there's a lot of potential in the future.
Good stuff. So that brings me to my next question nicely. What are you most excited for about your future career aspirations with Tailormade?
I've no idea.
Whatever the future shall hold.
Whatever the future shall hold.
Perfect. We mentioned kind of at the start about like in the fitness industry, very few places pay salaries. Most it's like an hourly rate or contractual rate at like 10 or 20 hours, and then you're kind of left to the wolves after that. At Tailormade, we pay salaries to our staff. It has pros and cons. Yep. But could you just give us an idea of, as a staff member within Tailormade, like what does the financial security side of things feel like, especially you have a little young child at home? Just give us an idea from somebody who maybe is looking at this, who doesn't work for us, they work for somebody else, just like from a financial side of things. Yeah. Obviously everybody wants to be paid more money, but
I suppose it kind of depends on circumstances for each individual person, really. Obviously nothing is cheap anymore, so everything is tight no matter what wages you're on, really, like. But like day to day, I get by. It's fine. It's not like I'm not crippling in debt or anything, like, so it's fine. I suppose in terms of salaries, you have good weeks, you have bad weeks. Some weeks you might work 34 hours, some weeks you might work 50, and like you just take the good or the bad, and that's kind of it. And that's expected when you're getting paid a salary, I suppose, as well. I was probably a bit apprehensive moving on to a salary when we introduced it first.
Don't think you've ever been on a salary before?
Never on a salary before, no. Only ever worked kind of day rates or
yeah.
hourly rates or whatever that might be. So it was definitely a bit apprehensive and like, Jesus, you know, bit step backish, but like, I mean, it's grand. Like, at least the thing I like about the salary is that I know exactly how much is coming in every single paycheck. I know there's that much in my account every single time I get paid.
Yeah.
So I can budget out, and it just makes it easier.
Yeah, bang on. So as I mentioned before, we've a load of young potential PTs following us, or newly qualified PTs in the industry. What advice would you give to someone who's just starting out in the fitness industry, looking to make a name for themselves, looking to grow a career? You've been there, done that.
Been there, done that, wore the t-shirt. I suppose just get as much experience as possible.
I think that's one thing that we find with PTs that come in here. They might have got a PT certification, but you couldn't put them in front of a group of 6 or 8 to do group PT. They'd fall apart. Yeah. So I think, you know, doing 1-to-1s is fine, 2-to-1s, 3-to-1s, but like getting experience actually coaching people is where it's at.
Yeah, 100%. And like I done a lot of freelance work, and like, I mean, like I done unpaid work for years with GA teams, rugby teams. I done a lot of coaching on field and stuff like that, in the gym with teams and all that kind of stuff for 2 or 3 years before I even got a job in a gym. Then I done an internship in a gym to see what that'd be like, and I liked it, so I went for a job there. And I suppose coming on board with Tailormade, I had a lot of experience coaching from teams and 1-to-1 PT.
You had a good blend.
I had a good blend, and I suppose coming in here, it was kind of a mix of both, so it was great. So I think from a coaching perspective, when I started, it wasn't like, what the fuck? Yeah. Do you know, but it was grand. The coaching was fine. It was the admin stuff that got me. You know.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Good. The other thing is, I'm going to say it here first. So we're a rapidly growing business. We plan to open 4 more group training facilities next year. So we'll be hiring possibly up to 12 new coaches over the next 12 to 18 months. So there's loads of people that follow us, that are coaches, that are looking at us as a prospect employer, but haven't yet made the decision to send in an application or whatever. What would you say to some of those guys? Someone considering working with us, looking at it from like where you are now, head coach of a gym, knowing that you've seen us opening 5 facilities. When we say we're going to open up 4 more, you know what's going to happen. Yeah. What would you say to that person?
Just do it. No, I'm only joking. I suppose, really, like, if you're thinking about it and you're on the fence about it, like, the worst thing that can happen is you don't get the job if you go for an interview. Like, the experience you're going to get from coaching 8 people in a session, or 6 people in a session, or whatever that might be, is unbelievable, and nothing compared to what you're going to get from coaching in a gym 1-to-1. It's nothing like it, and it's just a lot better. From my perspective, I would rather coach 8 people than 1.
And even when you look at a working week, like, it's grand. Like, I mean, my current roster is like, I'm off on a 1:30 on a Monday. I don't have to be back in work until 1:30 on a Tuesday. I have a full day off in between Monday and Tuesday. And I'm off Wednesday morning as well. Like, it's great. I get a lot of time at home, and it's fantastic. So like, if you are someone who's working in a commercial gym and you're sick of your hours and you don't want to do 1-on-1 PTs anymore, I'd go for it. It might not suit everyone. Yep. And it won't suit everyone. Some people would rather do 1-to-1s, and that's fine. But like, for the most part, I think the longer you are in coaching, the more you're going to want a role like this rather than a role where you're in and out of a gym for 50 to 60 hours a week, PTs and desk hours and everything else. Yep, thanks for that. Last couple of questions from me. What is your favourite way to unwind outside of work? Then I've got a nice little question for you to finish.
Lovely. I suppose going to the gym, even though I go to the gym in work, going to the gym or just going home and spending some time with Tig, Sheila, you know.
Spending time with family.
Spending time with family. Yeah, just.
Good. You're going to have to think on this one.
Okay.
I want you to think about somebody out of the 18 staff that work, well, 17 including yourself, that work at Tailormade. I want you to pick one person that you admire and tell me why.
Ooh, Owen Cleary.
Okay, why?
Because I worked with Owen here for over a year and we got on really, really well. Seeing how he transitioned into like his assistant manager role, seeing how all that kind of went for him, and then his progress and
personal development,
progress, and just seeing it up through the ranks with him, I suppose. And then he went to Feather and he's fucking blown it out of the water since. And I know I went through a bit of a rough patch here. I won't say a rough patch, but I suppose I went through a bit of a
growth learning curve, I would call it.
Yes, I would call it that too. I went through a bit of a learning curve there where performance wasn't up to scratch, and it was like, right, what does Owen do? It was like, right, get Owen on the phone. Owen, what the fuck, like, where am I going wrong? Try this. Okay, cool, sound.
Class.
And I even said it to Gavin. I was like, me and Gav had chat, obviously enough, and I said it to him. I was like, look, I'm thinking about ringing Owen. I know he's been where I am, and he's out the back end of it. I need to know what happened. From my perspective, Owen's personal development and professional development over the last 2 years, especially in the last year and a half, I suppose, has been fucking class. And I just love even seeing it.
Yeah,
you know?
unreal.
And even he's on holidays right now over in Malta, and like he's throwing up Instagrams and shit. Like he's in the gym.
Yeah, class. And do you know what? I wanted to ask that question because, and hopefully Owen sees this, because I think like we're all leaders in our own right, and I think sometimes, and Owen will watch this and be like, I didn't think my actions had that much of an impact on Dylan, but I can tell you that they do. And even like for all of us, it's important to realize that everything that we do every day, people are watching us, and our kids are watching us. So I think having that at the back of your mind is just like a little bit of ignition that you need to stay going forward and improving, because you know you are people do admire stuff that you're doing. They mightn't just say it. So I wanted to drag that out here. So Dylan, closing remarks. I just wanted to say thanks very much for hopping on. It's been a pleasure chatting for whatever this was, 30 to 40 minutes. I hope the audience got some value out of it and got to know you a little bit better, got to know what it's like as a client, got to know what it's like as a coach that works for us. If you're somebody that watches us and you're thinking about getting into fitness as a client and you haven't yet asked us, please do reach out on Instagram, email us, go to our website, and we'll be in touch. If you're a potential coach and you're looking at us as a potential employer in the future, please reach out to either me personally at Fionn McCullough on Instagram, or Gavin, or the main page. Email us and we'll be in touch. Other than that, thanks for listening. Thanks, Dylan.
Thanks for having me.
If you enjoyed this content and it inspired you in any way, please comment below and let us know your thoughts.